on the commercial focus that you now have, Scott. There's a lot of competition. Everyone's forecast has been wrong on January 2nd over the past half decade. From a commercial side, you get these aggressive targets. You're going out, land and expand with existing clients. You're looking for new logos, and you've got disruption. You have inaccurate forecasts. You've got everything going on with just infrastructure of relationships with like USPS. So you have all that externally, but then internally, you've got ops and you've got sales and you've got tech and you've got finance. It'd be great to get some lessons learned or how you've figured out how to navigate those internal relationships and challenges to get everyone aligned and moving together on a straight line.
Yeah, it's a really important topic. And I think it's at the center of any organization's success to essentially align the teams towards a common goal and not stand for my incentive is counterposed from your incentive, and we're going to fight to the death and see who wins. So, for example, when I first started in my first P&L type responsibility, or at least the operations side of the US export business here, we had trade lanes that we would export to. There was one person responsible for the last mile delivery partners in countries abroad. There was one person responsible for customs clearance into those countries. There's one person responsible for air freight to get there, and one person responsible for handling locally. Take Australia as a great example. So we want to go to Australia. The cheapest way is to fly just to Sydney. Problem is, once you're there, you're trucking across a huge country, right, of line hauls. And so any last mile delivery partner's got a really high cost to deliver once you're in Australia. But if you fly to 4 cities in Australia spread across the country, your air freight's up, but your last mile is cheaper, right? And so you got to run this balance. And if you have a person that's sheltered within each function, they each want to please their boss and get their metrics cheaper. But what I did was reorganize it so that one person was responsible for Canada, one person for UK, one person for Australia, et cetera, et cetera. They have to manage all parts of that supply chain and make that optimization so that their goal is to get the end-to-end as cheap as possible. The shift of how everyone's organized and what their targets are and making sure that the metrics are all within their full control makes a world of difference in terms of making good decisions and not things getting tripped up with differing incentives. So same thing in operations domestically. We have general managers in the field where they would get pushed on pieces per hour, essentially. Just drive pieces per hour. Someone else is going to make decisions for you on how much we're going to pay for labor. We're going to slap your hand when you have missorts or any other kinds of problems, but we're just going to grind you on pieces per hour. And sure enough, other things fall through the cracks. There's missorts. There's people who aren't attuned to that market making decisions about what we should pay in labor and what's the going rate in that market, or how much to spend and keeping folks happy with just events, pizza parties, recognition, that kind of stuff. We changed that around to say, a facility should have essentially, it's like shadow P&L. So you're going to get paid to sort a package effectively, and you're going to get charged when you do something like a missort or leave packages behind. Everything within there is up to you. How much do you want to pay folks? What do you want to invest in with those people? Do you put in extra quality checks on the floor to make sure you don't missort anything? Allow them to use their brains, treat it like their own business and not be too pigeonholed into one metric. And that made a world of difference, boosted morale of the management teams dramatically. They felt like they actually could control their fate, and you really get to see the creativity of the folks in the field. And now take it into the commercial and sales function. Probably the age-old dilemma is sales guys want revenue and pricing team is trying to protect gross profit. And that creates an animosity between the two teams. And that's not healthy either, right? We're all here for the same reason, which is charge a fair price and really try to make the client successful. I'm in the process of starting to move the sales teams to look at GP as a factor. They're going to want the revenue for sure, but not be asking the pricing team to give it away at a huge loss. Starting to implement layers of that kind of thinking gets everybody on the same page, rowing in the same direction, and boosts morale. Better decisions are made. I've taken that same approach of just trusting people to use their brains, because I think people are really smart if you give them the right incentives. And every chance I get, I'm looking for that angle to how to align